matte white wooden panelling indoors makes a beautiful wall or ceiling that remains fresh looking for many years. The application is very simple and usually requires only 2 coats. Before you begin, make sure that you have everything you need. Linseed oil paint. Stick to stir the paint with. Shellac. Suitable paintbrushes. Oil filler. Tools for filling. Sanding material for rubbing down. Brush for cleaning. Cloth for wiping the brushes and hands. Soap for washing the brushes and hands. Before you begin painting, we recommend that you first read the application instructions and tips included in our brochure and on our website. Estimated rate of distribution per application on a planed wooden surface is between 8 to 12 square metres per litre of paint. The drying time is between 1 to 2 days under normal drying conditions. The optimal temperature to apply the paint is approximately 15 to 25 degrees Celsius. Make sure that there's good ventilation in the room, especially for drying purposes. Any planed wooden surface that is to be painted will first require some basic work. Any knots must be treated with shellac to prevent the resin from penetrating into the painted surface and discolouring it. The shellac can be poured into a practical shellac set to make the work easier. Then apply the shellac to all the knots. It is of no consequence if it comes outside the area. Repeat the treatment a second time after approximately 20 minutes. The easiest way to open a paint pot is to place your foot firmly on the pot and then remove the lid using a putty knife and mallet. An undamaged lid is easy to put on again and will tightly seal the contents. We begin by using our pre-mixed white indoor primer paint, which will simplify the application of the matte linseed oil paint. Stir the paint so that it's completely homogeneous. Avoid dipping the brush too deeply so that you get too much paint on it. This can result in an uneven finish. Linseed oil paint covers well and does not require very much paint in order to achieve a good finish. As the surface to be painted is large and even, we're using a large primer brush. Paint methodically panel for panel and then smooth it out afterwards with a light touch and long brush strokes. If there are any natural imperfections in the wood, it may be necessary to make a few crosswise brush strokes and then smooth them out along the length of the panel afterwards. Let the brush remain in raw linseed oil between coats. Once the paint has dried after at least 1 day, it's time to fill in any cracks and screw holes with the oil filler. Apply the filler so that it fills the holes well. When it has dried after 12 to 24 hours, it is sanded down so the surface is smooth. Brush off all the dust before painting and clean the brush from any excess oil. For the final coat, we are using a ready diluted matte white linseed oil paint. Stir the paint thoroughly so that the entire volume is homogeneous. Paint using the same technique as before. A little paint on the brush and apply it panel for panel to achieve an even result. Finish off each panel with long brush strokes and a light hand. The paint dries quite quickly, so be sure to paint wet on wet in order to have time to smooth out the paint. It is important that you rinse the cloth in water before throwing it away to prevent spontaneous combustion. Wash the brushes in soap and water. It is a good investment to look after your brushes, as a good brush is expensive. A second-hand, well-maintained brush is also better to work with than one that is brand new. If you intend to continue painting in a few days using the same paint, it is not necessary to wash the brushes, but just let them remain in raw linseed oil so that the paint doesn't dry. The leftover paint is best kept by placing a piece of plastic directly over it before putting on the lid. This will then keep the paint fresh and without a skin forming for the next time you're ready to paint. The result will be a calm and harmonious surface that is extremely suitable for walls and ceilings.